Just getting around to record this video required so much, I don't even know how to say it, effort from my part, just because I'm going through my second trimester of pregnancy. Hi and welcome back. My name is Valentina. For those of you who are new here, I just moved recently to Spain with my kids and I am pregnant with my fifth baby. Yeah, I know, it's kind of crazy, but you know, if not me, then who? That's what I always think. Someone wants to be born. I want to talk to you in this video about productivity and especially productivity levels while you're pregnant. If you're a content creator and if you're trying to grow on YouTube or on any other space, what I struggled with and how I coped, maybe you can learn and pick up something. But other than that, let's get right into it. So first and foremost, I'm sure most of us who are pregnant went through the same kind of first trimester. I was sleeping and falling asleep everywhere. It was really challenging to maintain any kind of ideas, to try to come up with any kind of inspiration. Anything was really, really challenging, and I felt so unproductive and so lazy and so out of control. Like, I'm usually very much in control of my day, of what I get to do and how I get to do it. And being in the first trimester definitely messed with me a little bit because I'm such a consistent person. And if you are trying to grow a channel or if you are trying to grow on any platform, consistency is definitely the key. And I did videos for sure during my first trimesters as well, just because I'm stubborn. I cannot say that they were maybe my best work, but I did what I could with the tools that I had. And if you are in the same situation and if you're trying to achieve something, it doesn't matter if it's content creation or not, or if you're trying to reach a certain goal or you're trying to get something done, your productivity levels, if you are pregnant, are definitely going to plummet by at least 50%. It was a challenge for me just to get ready to record, and the same questions popped in my head all the time. Is it worth it? Why am I still doing this? Why am I crying when I'm about to record? And why I feel so uninspired? Nothing makes sense anymore. This is all normal. This is all a part of being pregnant. There's not much you can do and there's not much control you have over it. You just have to learn to accept it and work with what you have and make a little bit of a schedule if you can. So let's go over a couple of things that I did that really helped me while I was going through my first trimester. You know, nothing ever goes according to plan, but nothing was ever achieved without one. So I definitely was planning, even if it's just one video. It required a lot of effort on my part, just because I was so exhausted all the time. And even if it's just one video, and I know that most content creators that I'm following, at least, they are always suggesting and always saying that if you are set up to record, you need to do at least 2-3 videos, at least a couple of shorts. I found that very hard to maintain while being pregnant. So I always had in the back of my mind an idea, like, if I at least do one video, I'm a winner. I already did a lot. So I was planning for this one video. I was planning in advance. So for example, this week, after I record this video, I'm gonna start planning for next week's video. Even if it's just one video, it still requires effort and input and research and writing a script and doing B-rolls and coming up with a thumbnail picture and coming up with a title. I know all of us rely on ChatGPT a lot these days, but a lot of things I like to do on my own, just because I like that personal touch and not necessarily a computerized AI assist to be doing that instead of me. So yeah, one of the major things I was doing is I was planning. I would definitely make a plan and start working way in advance. I wouldn't leave it like before. I could just sit and write a script the evening before I record, and that wouldn't bother me and I would be so productive and so inspired. But since the inspiration and the productivity really plummeted, I was doing it days in advance. Sometimes it would take me 3-4 days to write a script. And I'm not blaming it on the pregnancy, obviously, but being pregnant definitely had and has a big impact on the way I run this channel. And if you are in the same position, you're not alone. There's plenty of us, I'm sure. And even if you're not running a channel and you are pregnant and you feel like your productivity is very low, it's normal. Let yourself go through this and enjoy it. Just setting up my camera and recording, which I just finished, feels like such a challenge. And if you are a content creator, give yourself a pat on the back because you're doing the best you can, and don't feel bad for not feeling as productive as you were before, because it's totally normal and there's nothing you can do to change it. Just enjoy the little productivity you have in you and use it to your advantage. One of the other things that I also was doing and still doing is give myself some grace period, and not necessarily being always on top of things and always being on point. I stopped posting every Thursday. I used to always post clockwork every Thursday. Now, sometimes I do it on Friday, sometimes on Saturday, sometimes on Sunday. I had a week where I missed to make a posting, and I felt okay about it because definitely my body and my mind is going through major changes, and I have a much more and bigger important job than record a video, and I want to prioritize things correctly. So not to be disrespectful to the space, to the work that people are putting in, but when you're pregnant, you definitely have much more on your plate than just content creation. Another thing that I did, I made sure I rest before I record and after. You would be surprised how much energy it takes and how much mental space it takes to actually sit and record and to remember your script and to not mess up and to be on point. It's a big challenge when you're not pregnant, but when you're pregnant, your memory is not the same. Your speech maybe not always on point. You forget where your mind takes you, and I find myself lost a lot of times when I record videos. And if I watch afterwards, I usually am one of those posted and ghosted. But since the beginning of pregnancy, I tried to rewatch most of my videos, and I catch myself either repeating things or starting one topic and then going into a totally different topic. And I'm sure whoever's going through pregnancy can relate, and it's fine. You're doing good. You're doing great. I definitely am having much more honest videos and much more open that people can relate. Just finished my today's video, and can't say that I felt super inspired or super inclined to do it, but I figured, I need to share what I'm going through so people can relate and understand that we're human and we're not always meant, especially pregnant women, to be productive and to always be in a go, go, go era. We are growing a baby. If you are pregnant, then all of this really don't matter as much as your health, your well-being, and your mental health. So if you are a content creator and you feel like you are slowing down, that's totally normal. It's fine. You can take a break, go for a walk, and enjoy yourself. Another thing that I really am striving as I'm going through this pregnancy and as I am growing my channel is try to connect with people who are going through the same thing, because everyone is trying to be so perfect and so, again, crying on camera. Everyone's trying to be so perfect when they're on video and having makeup and hair done and get dressed. And for me to do my hair this morning, to wash it, required so much effort, and I had to really think what I'm gonna wear because so many things don't fit. And I'm not one of those people who shops a lot when they're pregnant. I try to fit as much as I can into my clothes, and then when I don't fit at all, that's when I would buy a couple of things. So by doing these videos, I'm trying to relate to people who are in the same position as I am, to women, not people. Only women can have babies and get pregnant. And I definitely would like some feedback and some comments and see where are you in your pregnancy and how you're coping with having low productivity and low inspiration and low desire to do anything. I don't even enjoy reading as much, and I'm a big reader and I always have books everywhere lying around, and I don't feel inclined to read. That's where I find most of my inspiration from. And I find that I cannot even come up with a new idea for a video because I am limited in my reading lately so much. So what I decided to do is I'm actually changing the books that I'm reading. So I'm putting a pause on all of those inspiration and productivity books because they don't relate to me. We're not on the same path at this point, let's put it that way. So I'm going back into reading the books that I used to read years ago. I used to read a lot of action and detective stories and a lot of romantic books, a lot of drama. So now, because I feel a bit more dramatic and more sensitive and more emotional, I find that these books can relate more to me. And one of them, I just got it off Amazon the other day. I really like it. I read it at some point when I was, I think, 18, 19, in Russian. Stefan Zweig, I believe he's a German writer, and it's in English, but it's like short stories, a bit dramatic stories, but I'm at that stage in my life and I'm definitely enjoying it now. So if you are trying to find inspiration and you are a content creator and you are trying to figure out what to make your next video about, don't put these kind of books on the shelf, because you never know what might inspire you from one of these stories. You don't necessarily need to always read productivity and stoicism books and think that the only inspiration can come only from those type of books. Being productive and relying on having the power and the inspiration to read these kind of books. Although this is my favorite book, I read it already. I listened to it on Audible and then I read it once. No, you're gonna have to switch to something lighter. If you're a content creator, something like this, Big Magic. This author wrote Eat, Pray, Love. I can really relate to it now because I'm whipping most of the time, which is, there's nothing wrong with it. I'm pregnant, so it's normal, but definitely switch your direction when it comes to reading books and you will for sure find inspiration. So that was another thing that I did, is I really I pivoted from productivity to romantic books. Privacy concerns are definitely, for us content creators, is one of another major things that we really need to take into consideration when we discuss our personal lives. And I know that everyone who is in this space is trying to relate as much to the public as possible and to open up and to be more transparent. I don't necessarily agree all the time with this. That's why I wasn't that much open about my pregnancy, because it is a very private matter to me, because I don't necessarily agree that all of your life should be on a platter on social media. And if you want to maintain a certain peace to yourself and you don't always want to share everything, that doesn't make you any less of an honest person or any less of a creator. I believe privacy and boundaries are very important even when you're making videos on YouTube. And if there's certain things that you don't want to share and you don't want to be open about it, that doesn't mean that you're lying or you're not being transparent in your videos. That just means that you have boundaries, which all of us should have and which is normal. And don't feel kind of guilty about it. Don't feel bad about it, even if you didn't open up about your pregnancy at all through the course of the pregnancy and you only mentioned it when you already had the baby. That's absolutely fine. And as a content creator, I definitely stuck to some degree to my level of comfort. I felt like, okay, so I'm 5 months pregnant now. Now is when I can actually be more open about it and I can actually talk about it. And I had some comments under my video, you gained some weight right before I came clean about my pregnancy. And I felt that it was so funny. I'm like, you see, because people don't know what really goes on in your life and people don't know what you're going through. So if you feel like you owe to some degree an explanation and to be a little bit more open with your public, with your subscribers, with your followers, then you should definitely say it. But if you feel like you need your boundaries, you need your space, that you should do it. You should really listen to what's your level of comfort. Generally, I find that since I started YouTube, I've never felt as uninspired and as low and as slow, I would say. And I've never had to be a content creator while pregnant because most of my kids were born before I got on with this journey. It definitely teaches me a lesson on how to slow down and how to set up priorities and not necessarily always be on point. And people who know you and your subscribers and your friends will definitely appreciate your honesty above anything else. So if you don't feel like recording, if you don't feel like you're up for it or don't have it in you, then don't do it and don't feel bad about it. You are doing a much bigger job, which is much more important than being in the space. Although I appreciate the opportunity, and I really enjoy being on YouTube. I will definitely slow down while I'm going through this pregnancy. Other than that, good luck, and please do comment. Let me know who is where on their journey, and I'll see you in my next video.